Good afternoon, everyone. I'm Kira Phillips. Our top story this hour, from Donald Trump's sidekick to star witness in the former president's historic criminal trial, Michael Cohen confronting his former boss in a New York City courtroom right now. Cohen giving more insight into his role in paying Stormy Daniels $130,000 to keep her quiet about that alleged affair with the former president. The last 2.5 weeks of testimony, documents, and now recordings that we're getting a chance to hear, all leading up to this moment today. Let's bring in our senior reporter, Catherine Falders. Also with us, criminal defense attorney and former Manhattan prosecutor, Jeremy Saland. All right, what's the latest from court right now, Catherine?
That Michael Cohen, of course, is back on the stand after that lunch break. He's going over, of course, the payment, if you will, and the details that went into this payment to Stormy Daniels. Now, they're going through call records, if you will. They're saying that Michael Cohen is saying that he tried to call Donald Trump over a matter of, quote unquote, great importance. He's going through how he is alleging that Trump was at least notified about some of the ins and outs about the payment and how this was going to occur. The jurors, Kira, are now seeing text messages, according to our team from court, between Michael Cohen and Melania Trump, saying that Melania texted him, "Good morning, Michael. Can you please call DT," that being Donald Trump, "on his cell? Thanks." Cohen, of course, replied that he would. Then he was defending Trump's conduct later that day. So Cohen's really going through everything that led up to this, his defense of Trump, and really the ins and outs, and also, of course, the paperwork and everything that he alleges was behind this, and Trump's involvement, his very specific involvement, according to Cohen, in this payment.
So, Jeremy, as we learn more about these text messages between Melania and Cohen, you know, through the years, there's been a lot of, insiders from the Trump administration saying, hey, don't get things wrong here. Trump and Melania are like business partners. They know what they're doing, and they are hand in hand in almost every operation. So if there are indeed text messages between Cohen and Melania that are revealed, is it possible that she knew exactly what was going on here as well, and that sort of deflates Trump's whole argument and his legal team, and the notion that he was just wanting to protect his family here?
Well, it certainly doesn't help it, because if she was that distraught and she knew about it and you believe that she was that involved, then you would expect you would hear or see some text or corroboration that she was distraught for that reason. I'm upset. You're impacting our family. We have a son. You have your other children. This is going to have incredibly difficult things for our family. But you're not seeing that. And so far, from what I'm gleaning from what I'm seeing from the active testimony in court, is that he meaning Michael Cohen is doing a very good job laying this out in a very smooth and easygoing manner, but that's not where we need to be concerned. I think really the truth here is going to come out on cross-examination, because it's quite easy for the prosecution to say simply, what happened next? What corroborates this? Let me show you some text messages. It's going to be cross-examination is going to be where this sort of lives or dies.
So, Catherine, is Cohen really the only one who can tie Trump to Daniels' hush money payment?
Well, pretty much. He was the one that was involved, in brokering that deal, the one that had the most involvement, if you will, in this payment and the checks. So, yes, the answer to that is. And I think that where the defense will try and really poke holes in this is not so much with this paper trail that the jury is being shown, whether it's the HELOC, the bank statements, the checks that are signed, for example, but they're really going to try and go after Michael Cohen's credibility. We've been talking a lot about that throughout the course of this trial. In fact, it's something that the prosecution mentioned at the very beginning of the trial, that they realized that their main witness, that their top witness, has some credibility issues. And that is something that he's, of course, admitting today, that he lied for Donald Trump, on behalf of Donald Trump. So I think at the end of the day, and that's what Jeremy was saying, what happens on cross-examination and how, at the end of the day, that ultimately resonates with the jury will be fascinating.
So, Jeremy, here's something interesting. Cohen apparently now saying in court that Alan Weisselberg, who, as we know, is in jail now at Rikers, he was Trump's money guy, allegedly suggested that Cohen could fund the account that would ultimately wire the $130,000 payment to Stormy Daniels through one of Trump's golf courses, either through a membership or a wedding. In a meeting with Weisselberg, Cohen said that he suggested two options. One option was to see if I knew anybody who wanted to purchase a golf membership, and a second option was for somebody who was having a family affair, like a wedding or a bar mitzvah, pay that account and redeem the value as a credit on their invoice. It's getting pretty specific here.
Yeah, that has the air of credibility. To really make that up and just pull it out of the air on your own for no reason other than somehow go after the former president, who you obviously dislike, seems to be a little bit much. I've said this many times. You don't leave that common sense at the footsteps of the doorhouse. You listen to the testimony and you understand, well, it sounds right. It smells right. He could be a liar about a lot of other things. He could be a bad dude. He could have podcasts and books and appearances going after Donald Trump with such a loathsome vigor. But at the same time, this has that scent of being truthful and credible. So that's something favorable to the prosecution. How that holds up under cross-examination, we'll see. But I like that if I'm the district attorney's office.
Okay, so that's interesting, Jeremy. So basically we're getting a little different turn in the conversation here, because leading up to this point, everybody has been talking about how Michael Cohen is not credible, that he's a liar and he's a cheater and he's been convicted of certain crimes. He was thrown in jail. You can't trust him. But now he's starting to give examples and stories, and as you say, that you can't just all of a sudden pull out of your hat. And then, so is his credibility, if he keeps giving these types of examples, does his credibility become less of an issue?
I don't know if it becomes less of an issue. It's just another form of sort of corroboration. We'll say it again. We have David Pecker, Hope Hicks. We have phone logs and records. That is very valuable. But when you tell a story that has that feeling of truthfulness to it, that helps you too. Subject to cross-examination, a known liar and convicted felon, but you can still be honest here today, even if you weren't honest on those other times.
All right, Jeremy, Catherine, thank you both.